Her voice reached me before her face did, cutting through the air with a biting, scornful edge I could never forget. "Here to plead for scraps, aren't you, poor thing?" I turned, and there stood Amanda, my former wife, her hand resting lightly on the arm of a man I'd never met but recognized instantly by his reputation. Ethan Cole, the wealthy man she'd left me for, stood beside her, his smirk sharp and deliberate. "This isn't a place for broke nobodies," he said, his words dripping with intent to wound. They hit their mark, designed to humiliate. But the truth was, I wasn't the one who should feel shame. Not anymore. We weren't standing in their domain. This was my territory now. I met Amanda 3 years earlier. Back then, she radiated warmth, or at least she played the role flawlessly. She'd laugh at my awful jokes, curl up against me, her head on my chest as she drifted to sleep, whispering that I was her haven. I trusted her completely. Foolishly, I believed every word. The shift began 6 months before she walked out. Subtle signs at first, designer bags she couldn't account for, dinners with friends that didn't align with her schedule, a phone perpetually turned face down. I clung to the hope it meant nothing. That's the snare love lays for you. The truth crashed down one Thursday evening when I came home early. Her laughter echoed from the kitchen, but it wasn't alone. His voice was there too. I lingered in the hallway, eavesdropping as they spoke freely, unaware of me. When I heard the sound of her kissing him, I slipped outside before they could notice. I didn't shout or weep. I just went numb. She expected me to crumble, to grovel. But I've never been one to lash out without a plan. My father taught me to fight only when victory is certain. Amanda never knew who my father truly was. To her, he was just a vague figure in finance. She had no idea he was the CEO of a $5 billion investment empire. A man who could reshape fortunes with a single call. I kept that from her. Why reveal the weapon when silence makes it deadlier? I began preparing in secret. Tracking her with a burner phone, hiring a lawyer skilled in ironclad prenups and seamless divorces, quietly moving bank accounts, and cutting off her access. All the while, I let her believe I was broken, barely scraping by. She paraded her new life online, basking in her supposed triumph. I let her revel in the illusion of victory. Then I uncovered something exquisite. Ethan's father, Richard Cole, held a seat on my father's company board. Ethan was being primed to inherit a branch office someday. That was the moment revenge stopped being a fantasy and became a calculated certainty. It took 3 months to lay the groundwork. I confided every sordid detail to my father. He listened without interrupting, only pausing to ask, "What do you need from me?" "Not yet," I told him. "Just be ready when the time comes." The trap snapped shut on a Tuesday. My father summoned a board meeting, one that Ethan and his father couldn't skip. I arrived deliberately late, just as the room began to fill. That's when Amanda's voice sliced through again, mocking and cruel. She stood there, dressed as if she owned the place, clinging to Ethan like a prize. Her eyes widened briefly when she saw me, then narrowed into a smirk. "Begging for a job, poor thing?" she taunted. Ethan chimed in, eager to twist the knife. "This isn't a place for losers." I stayed silent, offering only a faint smile as I stepped aside, letting them walk into the ambush first. The meeting began. My father sat at the head of the table, fingers interlaced, his gaze sweeping the room with icy precision before settling on Ethan and Richard. "I've been reviewing irregularities," he said, his voice steady but razor-sharp. "Unauthorized transactions, falsified reports, rampant nepotism." The room froze. Ethan squirmed in his chair. Amanda's smirk wavered. My father's stare didn't waver. "Richard Cole, effective immediately, you are no longer on this board. Ethan Cole, your employment is terminated. Security will escort you both out." Ethan's face went pale. "Hold on, you can't." My father's voice cut through like a blade. "I just fired your father. Both of you leave." The silence was deafening. Amanda's hand fell from Ethan's arm. Her eyes flickered between me and my father, piecing together the truth she'd never bothered to uncover. The truth I'd let her ignore until this moment. They were marched out under the board's silent stares. I followed at a distance, not to gloat, but to see it through. In the hallway, Amanda turned to me, her voice a whisper. "You knew," she said, as if I'd betrayed her. I held her gaze, steady and unyielding. Why didn't you stop me? She asked. I leaned in, my voice low enough for only her to hear. Because you can't rescue someone who's already decided to sink. They were gone within minutes. Their fragile empire collapsed in hours. Ethan's accounts frozen pending investigation. Richard ostracized from much of the industry. Amanda's glittering new life vanished as quickly as a signature on a termination letter. I returned to the boardroom and took my place beside my father. For the first time in months, I felt calm. Revenge doesn't mend the wounds. It doesn't erase the sting of betrayal, but it restores equilibrium. Some mistake kindness for fragility. I let Amanda believe that until the very end. Now she understands.